to actually get this worksheet. Okay. Just grab mine. So number 1 says use the information to write the general form. So please make sure you do know your forms. You don't need to memorize them. I'm not going to say like what is general form, but you do need to kind of know where things go. So when we do number 1, that's standard form. So that's given in standard form. And general form is basically when we distribute everything out and have that all nicely set up. So I always kind of just go through and say, okay, well, x plus 9 squared means I multiply it by itself. Plus y plus 16 is going to get multiplied by itself. Equals 14. 4. Equals 4. Where did I get 14 from? Okay. Oh my God. Thank you for telling me. You know me. Got 1 more week to actually just remember to share my screen. That's literally all I have to do. Okay, there we go. Thank you. I'm gonna grab my calculator because I don't feel like doing some of this in my head. And once again, I don't know where 14 came from. It's just 4.
It's like I've been out for a week. What's going on?
That would be x squared. I'm just like kind of multiplying those out. Plus 18x plus 81. Plus, I'm going to distribute that out. That's y squared plus 32x. I don't know what 16 squared is. Oh yeah, 256 equals 4. I do want to set that equal to 0, so I will move that 4 over. And then I want things in the specific order. So I want my x squared, my y squared, my x, my y, and then I have a whole bunch of constants, and I'm also going to subtract that 4 so it's equal to 0. So I have 81 plus 256, and I'll subtract that 4 to move it over just so I don't have to do it in multiple steps. And that would be plus 333 equals 0. What a beauty. So I tried to make it very, like I made the quiz last week. I tried to make it so you weren't confused. Like if it wants something in standard form, it literally says standard form underlined. So you just need to know what standard form. In this case, this was general form with an underline. So there's no questions. Yes?
That's 32y, right?
Oh my God. Yep. One of my games that I guess. Monday. Thank you. But it does have to be in this order. So don't just give me stuff like randomly spread out. X squared, y squared, x, y constant equals 0. Any problems on 1? Yep.
Oh, I have a question.
Sure.
Like, is it gonna be like a lot of like big numbers, or is it just like
No, I don't think it's anything huge. I'm pretty sure I did the other day. I don't even know if I used a calculator. Or it was like, they were small enough that it wasn't crazy, or maybe I just used it quick, but it wasn't anything crazy. Okay, so I'm gonna skip around, because once again, if you can do 1, you can do 2. Mm-hmm.
Where did you get 333 from?
I have the 81 here.
Oh.
I have the 256 here.
I didn't even see the 81.
Yep, so I combined those because those were just constants, and then I moved the 4 over from the other side. Okay, so let's skip down to the next section. And the next section says use the information to write the standard form of each circle. So we see a whole bunch of circles. 3 and 4 are in general form. 5 is kind of just mixed up. You would just rearrange things. And then 6, 7, 8 give us some information. So let's look at 3 first, just for the general way that we go from general form to standard form. Because I was holding that. Okay, number 3, please. So I start with something. We've got nice old general form here. And we have to do a little bit of rearranging. So we need things in a certain order. We're going to do completing the square. So we're going to have x squared. I want my x term next to it. And I'm going to add a blank. So I'm going to complete the square with that trinomial. And then I'm going to have my y squared term with the y next to it. And I'm going to add a blank because I'm going to do completing the square again. And then my constant, I'm going to move over to the right side. So I don't want this one equal to 0. I want it equal to the constant. And then since I added 2 blanks on the left, I need to add 2 blanks on the right. All right. So this looks like fun. Okay, so we go here, and I kind of just focus on that first trinomial, that first where that blank is. And to find our blank, we do the middle number divided by 2 squared. So 4 over 2 is 2, squared is 4. And I just kind of stick with this piece. I like to do focus on one thing at a time. So I'm gonna write the factor form of that, which is x plus 2 squared. All right, that wasn't terrible. Now we'll kind of focus on the second part. So I'm gonna put a plus in the middle. If I have 30 divided by 2 is 15. 15 squared is 225, yeah. 225. While I'm here, I'm just gonna factor it. It would be y plus 15 squared. And then on the right side, I filled in my blanks, so I'm gonna fill in my blanks. And when I combine those, they're just gonna be 9. And then I'm done. So maybe on tomorrow's quiz, it might not just say hey, can you just write this in standard form? It might give you something in general form and say, hey, what's the center? You don't know. So that's why you put it in standard form, because from standard form, we know h and k. Or it could say, oh, here is general form. What's the radius? You would put it in standard form because we also know radius. It would be 3, right? Because that's our squared. So a lot of times if it asks you for something, it might not specifically say put it in another form, but just think about what forms. General form, you don't really know anything about. You just kind of look at it and it's there. But standard form, you know a bunch of info, like the center and the radius. So if it's asking for one of those, a lot of times you're just kind of converting between forms. So just as a heads up. It doesn't really matter. I'm just kind of skipping around here. Those ones are easy. If it asks you to write those are really easy. So 6 and then 7 and 8 aren't bad because it's just a lot of plugging in. Once again, just please come into tomorrow knowing what standard form is and what general form is. If you do that, you're actually in pretty good shape. So if I look at number 6, I'm like, oh, wait a second, that's not bad. Because standard form is just x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So if it says something like 6, I mean, the center and the radius, you just kind of throw into the equation and then you're kind of done. So that's nice. So number 6 would just be x, since it's minus negative 11, it would be plus 11 squared, plus y minus 15 squared. And that's going to equal r squared, so 3 squared is 9. Oh, so that one's not bad at all. And then remember for one like 7 or 8, when I say center and a point on a circle, you literally just throw in x, h, y, and k, and then find r. I'm going to skip to 10, and I'll do that one, just so we're not doing the same thing over and over. So I'm going to skip to 10. And the reason I'm skipping to 10 is this one says, can you write it in general form? And we say, oh, good old general form, so this is standard. So general form, I forget all the variables, ax squared plus by squared plus cx plus dy plus e equals 0. I mean, it's just a whole bunch of coefficients, so let's check that. So the first thing I think in my head is if I'm doing 10, where the heck do I put center and point on a circle? You don't put it in there. General form is kind of annoying. So what we can do is we can put it in standard form and then we would rearrange. So we always think about what form is going to be more useful with this information, and then if you have to rearrange to the other form, then you do it. So if I have the center at 9, negative 13, and a point at 12, negative 11, I'm going to throw it in standard form, which would be 12 minus 9 squared plus negative 11 plus 13 squared equals r squared. I'm gonna have to find r. I'm too lazy to do any of that in my head, I'm gonna be honest, so I'm just gonna throw this side right in my calculator. I'm just gonna throw it right in order. Oh gosh, Mrs. Sherman, you gotta put them in correctly. Is that right?
5.
What do people get?
Right? I got 5.
Oh my god, I put something totally, I put 31 instead of 13. No wonder that made no sense in my head.
That's 12.
I got 13?
Yeah, I got 13.
Oh, I put squared in my head. Okay. So r squared is gonna equal 13. That's okay, I don't care that r is the square root of 13, I'm gonna be honest. Because I'm gonna write it in standard form. X minus 9 squared plus y plus 13 squared equals 13, right, equals r squared. And then this is what I would take and kind of do like I did with number 1. I would expand my binomials, do a whole bunch of simplifying, and then just writing things in order so it was in general form. I have no clue what the answer is, I can do it quick. Just be careful with signs. 26y plus 169 equals 13. So my final answer would be, make sure we're in the right order, x squared plus y squared minus 18x plus 26y, and I'm gonna find all my constants, 81 plus 169, and I'm also gonna subtract 13 so I can get it equal to 0, and that would be plus 237 equals 0. Main goal of tomorrow is if a form's not helping you, use a different form. Excuse me. Then we have a whole bunch of graphs going on here. Those look like fun. So if something's in standard form, it should be pretty quick, right? You just say, what's the center? You literally just look at the center. What's the radius? You throw the center in, you do the radius around, you make a nice little circle. Let me go to one that's not in standard form. I'm just gonna go to one that's like kind of crazy. So let's skip to number 15 after that one. So I'm gonna go to number 15, because 15 is just like a whole bunch of stuff, right? Nothing's really in the order we needed it, it's not in standard form, so we'll see what we do with that. I'll give you a few other hints of things that you may see on this test, or quiz, excuse me, it's just a quiz, not as many points. And then we'll see if there's any questions, and we'll take a math square. So I'm skipping to 15. So once again, we've done a few things in standard form, we've done a few in general form. Okay, so if I'm just going in and it's like, okay, I'm gonna put this in general. I guess I'm not gonna put it. I'm gonna set it up so I can do completing the square. So I just need things in a certain order to do that. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna add this 4x squared just to move it over to this side. Then I'm gonna put the minus 8x next to it. I'm gonna add a blank. Oh, this one's kind of annoying. Then what are we, oh wait, yeah, no, that works. Then we have 4y squared plus 4y plus blank equals, I'll move this 15 over to this side. 15 plus blank plus blank. Oh shoot, guys, we're completing the square, but we have a coefficient in front. What do we need to do? Don't yell it all at once. We're gonna divide by this coefficient. So I'm gonna divide everything by 4. So I'm just gonna start over here. Everything gets divided by 4. It ends up that this coefficient's 4 too. So I can just kind of divide everything on this side by 4. So we end up with x squared minus 2x plus blank plus y squared plus 2y plus blank. And then that sets us up a little bit nicer on that side. Oh, do I have to divide 15 by 4? If I divided both of them? Not 2y? Just y? Wait, what? Yeah, why did I put a 2 there? Thank you. Always just yell at me if I do something wrong. I think I have 2. Let me check on that in a second. My brain's just not working today. We're at a very low capacity for the day. But that's okay, we can still do this. So this blank would be 1, x minus 1 squared. What are we doing here?
The second one would just be y, not y squared.
No, that's a plus sign.
That's a plus, sorry.
Oh.
It's just a very messy plus.
So we don't need to divide the blanks?
That's why, I think I might have to divide the 15. Like to divide everything, and then you'd be fine. But I just need to like, let this sink in my brain for a
So we just
second.
throw away the y part.
No, it's okay, we can do a fraction. Because that would be 1 over 2, and then 1 over 2 squared is 1/4. Hold on, I think I have to divide that, but I'm just gonna check on my answer because my brain is not fully functioning today. It's a Monday, you know.
I feel like everyone's not having like a great day today.
I know, I'm
It
just
feels
like,
like
you know, it's kind of crappy out. I'm just like, I've actually had a pretty good day. It's just sometimes when your brain doesn't work all the way, that's okay. I'll still get through the day here. Give me 1 second. I just don't want to tell you the wrong thing. That would be really terrible. I don't think there's anything too crazy like that tomorrow, but I'd always rather do it correctly the first time.
Oh, yeah.
What are we on, 15? Hold on. Check.
You should have said yes.
I do need to. I thought I did, I just wanted to make sure. Hey guys, since everything got divided by 4, I do need to divide that by 4. You don't need to divide the blanks, but every number you do have to divide. So this ends up being 15 over 4 plus 1 plus 1/4. And then I would just add all those together. 15/4 plus 1 plus 1/4. That would be 16/4, which is 4 plus 1 is 5. I'm just gonna do second guess yourself. I just didn't want to tell you the wrong thing. Yep.
Wait, so like, how'd you get the 1/4 in the thing?
Because this y just has a coefficient of 1. And I always take that middle number and divide it by 2. So that gives me 1/2. And then I square it.
For it to go in the bracket?
Huh?
For the thing in the
So
bracket?
in the parentheses, wouldn't it be half?
Yeah, because 1/2.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You're right.
Okay.
In my mind, that's where I'm getting that from. You're right. I was just answering the completely wrong question.
I'm sorry.
No, it's me.
Um,
That's not you. It's me.
the radius, when you're counting out, you have to square that, right? Or is that just?
No, so on this one, obviously, it would be like kind of
Oh.
annoying to graph. Because r squared is 5, so r is technically the square root of 5.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, so on the quiz, I make them nice. Like, I'm not gonna have you graph it. So you would just say, oh, the center of this is at 1 comma -1/2. So you would just go to 1 -1/2, like about right there. And then obviously the square root of 5, I'm just gonna round the square root of 5. Obviously, we're not doing anything perfectly. It's like 2.23, so I'm just gonna go out about 2.
Isn't it flipped?
What?
-1 goes the other way?
Well, no. No, because it's the opposite side. 1 negative. The center is at 1 -1/2.
Oh.
Because the minus comes from the equation, not from the minus. So I'm just gonna go about 2, a little over 2. So remember, I always go to the right, I go up, I go down, and I go to the left. So if I go 1, 2, plus a little more, down, 1, 2, plus a little more. To the left, 1, 2, plus a little more. Up. 1, 2, plus a little more. That'll give you a nice little circle. I mean, do your best to draw it. I'm not gonna judge you, that's a terrible circle, but, I don't think there's any with like that many things going on, but you know, you might as well do the toughest, the trickiest one, and then all the other ones seem easy. But Mangle, if you have something in a weird form, just put it in a form that you know. Whether it's general form, whether it's a form to kind of complete the square, just in that order. In that case, we did have to deal with those coefficients, so we had to kind of divide everything first. We did our completing the square step to get standard form. Standard form we like because we can tell the center and we can tell the radius. In this case, we would just say the radius is the square root of 5. Once again, I think I make them, if you have to graph something, it's kind of nice on the quiz. And then we just did our best to sketch it.
So if one of the coefficients was 4 and then one of them was 8, what would you divide 15?
So you really only care about the squared, and they ended up being the same on purpose just to make it nice, but you'd have to divide by the larger one.
Oh.
But you need them all to be 1, so it would kind of just work out that they were the same. Because you need both these coefficients to be 1, so they kind of have to be the same for you in the middle. So there's a whole bunch of other ones on there. Obviously, some of them are easier than others. Like 17, 18 aren't bad, like it's already in standard form. You can just say what's the center and what's the radius and kind of go from there. Obviously, there's a few other ones where you have some different forms. So you would do a little bit of rearranging and maybe completing the square to find that. And that's it. So the only other thing I can think of that's not on the review, there is a multiple choice that asks you for, it gives you 2 points and it asks you for the distance. So you can either remember a distance formula, or you can just set up a triangle and do kind of how many over, how many up, x squared plus y squared equals r squared. And then there's one that asks for a midpoint, which is just an average. Let me see if there's anything else I can think of. Look. I just want to make sure you get the good rundown here. Serve those quiz. So obviously, people in class are taking it in class, people at home, you'll take it, but with your camera on. So just as a heads up for the setup for tomorrow. And then this will be our last quiz where half of you are remote or some of you are remote. And that will just be my biggest delight because I hate correcting on the computer. It is my biggest